In this nitty-gritty Let's Play live stream, we're going to be playing American Mah Jongg at Mahjong Time. Today's topic is more advanced, so that's why we're going to be playing at Mahjong Time. The topic for today is calculating risks. So this will be, there are risks throughout the game, but they increase towards the end game. So we're going to talk about it during passing and also during the pick and discard phase of the game based on the wall in play. I hope that you find it helpful. Please let me know in the video description below if you have ideas or things that you use to help you calculate risks. I also want to say thank you so much for watching my videos and for sharing about MAHJLIFE. Also, I want to say thank you to moderators who will be helping monitor chat today. This is a nitty-gritty format, so we'll not do any socializing. If you prefer gameplay with commentary and some socialization, visit us on Friday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. With that, I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started right away. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Hi, Wes, Elizabeth, Jill, Karen, welcome. So let me get this presentation up. Calculating risks. There's a wiki article for this as well. Let me make sure I have that in the video description. Let's see. Bear with me for just a moment. Okay. Oh, I like this one. Well, I like them all, actually. But this is, I think, especially helpful. I even found it helpful as I was researching this idea, calculating risks. It helped me with decision making, and I hope it'll do the same for you. So I have the presentation ready, but I just want to look and see really quick if the wiki article's in there. If I could spell it right. Well, there is the link to the skills and strategies matrix, and there'll be a link to a wiki article there. So let's see. The wiki article is titled, oops, I clicked the wrong button. Okay. All right, come on now. Weight patterns matter. That's why it's took me a bit longer, because the title is about weight patterns, but at the bottom of this article is the risk assessment matrix, which is what we're going to look at. So let me just stick that into the video description for you. And that way you can follow along if you're a visual read learner, or if you want to look at it after the event. Let me share my screen and we'll get started here. Okay, calculating risks. All right, there we go. All right, so here we go. You definitely need a pig update from Wes. Go ahead. Well, let's save that for the end. You got to stay to the end to get the update on the pig story. How about that? Is that okay with you, Wes? Are you going to be around for the whole event? Okay, so here we go. This is all, it coincides with strategy by wall. If you're not familiar with strategy by wall, I'll introduce it just so that you have a frame of reference. But the concepts are based on the wall in play. So sorry, I went zoomed with my mouse there for a second. Okay, so when you play this game, there's something in the real world that applies sometimes. FOMO, fear of missing out. You can get that anxious feeling if you're expecting something to happen with your hand and it fizzles out or changes or what have you, or maybe you're trying to push it too hard or too fast. So FOMO applies to Mahjong, fear of missing out. That's what FOMO stands for. In Mahjong, it's the anxiety of losing jokers in an early exposure. That's one example. Another example is anxiety that opportunities for hand development will be missed due to inaction. FOMO, fear of missing out. You want to make decisions based on facts. What is in your hand, not hope, what you think could happen, because then you could paint yourself into a corner. You want to make decisions based on calculated risk. Calculated risk is a risk that you consider worth taking because the result, if successful, will be so good or too good to pass up. There are a lot of variables at play. Don't calculate risk based on fear of missing out. That would be the FOMO. Instead, calculate risk based on intel gathered by reading the room. Reading the room entails your hand, exposures, discards, and body language from your opponents. If you can manage that many spinning plates, that can be very helpful when gathering intel. So these topics are what we're going to talk about in this presentation. Okay, sounds good, Wes. So this is, excuse me, hold on. Have a little tiny cough. So this concept is based on the wall in play. And this initial idea I found through Tom Sloper's website, Sloperama. He introduced me to it through his book and his website. And it's an idea that he got from playing the game of chess, where in chess, there are tactics that are applied in the begin game, the middle game, and the end game. And he applied it to Mahjong. So with Mahjong, we're not playing with chess pieces. We are playing with tiles that are built into 4 walls. So the strategies that he shared on his website and in his book were based on the wall in play. And I loved that idea. It resonated with me so much so that as I was learning the game and then studied and applied things that I knew from other versions and other games, that I developed it further with my own proclivities, and I call it Hop Toys Strategy by Wall. But I want to give a shout out to Tom Sloper because that's where the initial idea came from. So thank you, Tom. Here's how it works. When you build the wall, this is the Zen garden of the game. If you don't build the wall, shame on you. You got to build the wall. It's part of the game. Tradition, and it's the Zen garden of the game. So the first wall goes away when you deal the tiles. So all the tiles have been dealt and are in each player's hand. Then you're left with a short wall. This is when you're going to be passing tiles. This would be what I call the pre-game or the Charleston. And this is where you can transform your dealt hand with the right decisions at the right time. It's a hand development accelerator. It's very powerful. This would be the pre-game. Then after East discards the first tile, that short wall is the begin game. This is typically the first 5 discards, and a lot can happen in those first 5 picks or not. because if you get keepers in this first wall, the first 5, let's say 5 discards, it can change your position in the game and your outlook and the level of skill, or not level of skill, but the level of risk that you can take when you play the game. That short wall, that's the begin game. Then the next full wall, that would be the middle game. And then the last wall would be the end game. So we're going to take it phase by phase. Let me just check on chat. I see a few things going on here. Karen says, is this example does not East hold back tiles from the wall when they deal? In this visual, I did not use dice to break the wall for the sake of the visual. When you play the game, East will roll the dice to break the wall. So you need to train yourself to visualize the length of a full wall. And I will share some screens to help you do that in a live game, or even when you play online. And when we do gameplay with commentary, I'll show you how to do it. So this, for the sake of explaining the concept, I did not break the wall. It's going to be similar, but I didn't want to have a roll of the dice kind of a break, because that's very situational. So I left it as a full walls just for the sake of the introduction. So we'll get to it, and I'm hoping that what I show you will help. So let's see here. Remind me to share the images, because I don't know if they're in this particular presentation. So I'll open that up late after this. Okay, so when you get your dealt hand, you want to focus on hand development. That is your primary focus, to develop your hand. What you do during the Charleston passing, you want to mitigate risk with whatever you have left over after you're holding keepers. The 101, hand development 101, is that you target the strength of the hand and choose a category that will use most of your tiles. You target the strength of the hand, and the strength of the hand is going to be either with a multiple, which is a pair pong. If you have that, target that. Start there, because American Mah Jongg is a game of multiples. You want to start with the multiple, gather tiles to support it, and play a category that uses most of your tiles. If you don't have a multiple, target the predominant pattern. The predominant pattern will be one of the categories on the card. You just want to ask yourself while looking at your tiles, do I have mostly evens or odds? Do I have mostly wins and dragons? And then focus on that category until a multiple forms, and then reassess. Target the multiple, gather tiles where you can focus on a category that will use most of them. Targeting, that is critical to hand development and getting started on the right foot. Then you're going to gather. You're going to gather tiles for whatever category you've chosen. You do not need to pick a hand until you run out of discards, or until you have only keepers in your hand. In other words, target, then gather. Eventually, you'll have no gaps for whatever category you have. Let's say you're playing 3, 6, 9 and you have no threes, but as you're gathering, you have a 3. Now you have all 3, 6, 9. And at that point, you will be able to start building. And maybe at this point, you'll be able to pick a hand and whittle out some of those keepers that you had for fodder, and then continue to develop your hand. All along the way, you're going to defend. So hand development 101, target, gather, build, defend. These are the components of playing the game well. So let's look at the pregame during the Charleston. Again, the preliminaries, this is where you deal the tiles. They go away. Then everyone has their tiles. We are doing the Charleston. Then the begin game is that short wall, middle game, third wall, end game, fourth wall. After the Charleston, and we'll talk about the Charleston decision making when we do gameplay with commentary. So we're going to speed forward for the sake of assessing your position And that typically happens after the Charleston. If after the Charleston you have more than 4 discards, consider yourself to be an underdog. What that means is that you're going to take a low risk approach until you have a stronger hand. You want to make sure that you don't have any gaps and that you have as few weaknesses as possible. Choose a hand that has no gaps and few weaknesses, especially if you're in between. Look at the weaknesses, compare those weaknesses, and go with the stronger hand and let the other hands go. Let the weaker options go. If you don't know, weakness would be, for example, if you need a pair and you have 1 tile, or if you need a Kong and you have only 2 tiles or 1 tile and a joker, you're not ready to claim a discard. That would be a weakness. So you want to keep your eye on weaknesses, not only to determine your position, but also how much risk you can take when making decisions and claiming discards. If you have 4 discards, consider yourself to be a contender. As a contender, you can take a moderate risk approach. So you can expedite hand development more so than an underdog. If someone discards one of your tiles and you think that you have a strong potential for your hand, go ahead and call that discard and make an exposure. If you have less than 4, you are likely a front runner for the game. So you want to push to win regardless of risk. Stay out in front. Play assertively. Also, look at the note at the bottom of the screen here. Watch the wall and assess your position, then bump up or back. The first time you want to assess your position is right when East discards the first discard, when they discard the first tile. So you want to assess your position at that point. There's not going to be 99 tiles left. Then there are some milestones that you want to think about. At 80 tiles remaining, that's where the middle game starts. So you want to just reassess your position because it could go up or down depending on what happens. At 70 tiles, this is where you would want to switch hands if you need to. Like if you start out playing a pair hand and someone has a pung of a tile you need. This is the sweet spot for switching, 70 tiles. 60 tiles remaining is the midpoint and the ideal moment for joker bait. It's also an ideal time to make sure you know what hand you're playing. At 50 tiles remaining, this is when you want to start looking at your discards, if you have any, and make sure that you have safe discards, because at 40 tiles, just 2 or 3 picks longer, you're going to be in the end game. And you want to make sure that you have safe discards. So those are the milestones to keep in mind. And I will talk through all these as we play the game. We want to look at a couple of example hands in determining position, just so you have a little bit of a framework. This particular player, this is a real hand that happened. We have lots of 1 through 5. We have 2 or 3 pair in here, 1 crack, 4 dot, and a 5 dot. We could play consecutive run 3-1 with the flower. So for example, 3, 4, 5 in dots. We could play number 4, 3, 4, 5 and 2 suits, 3, 4, 5 bam, 3, 4, 5 dot. We could even play the concealed hand. Let's see, it'd be 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3 crack, 2, 3 bam, or 2, 3 dot, 4 bam. Or you could do, let's see here, maybe even, let's see, did I say, oh, number 6. This would be the pung pung kong kong hand. 1, 2 crack, 3, 4 dot. 1, 2 crack, 3, 4 dot. You could even do 2, 3 crack, 4, 5 dot. So the idea here is that you have a lot of options. When you have a lot of options and just not one particular hand, you're not going to be able to keep all these tiles. So you're going to be an underdog. This player, even though they have a nice consecutive run with all their tiles, they're an underdog because they have too many options going on. Here's another example. Year number 4. This is the concealed hand. We have northeast, west, no south. We do have a couple of jokers that can help with the south gap. This is an example of a gap hand. We have 2, 4, and a white dragon. So we need a 2 bam. That would be a weakness. So you can see here, even the north would be a weakness because we have only 1. Let's see, the south would be a pair gap. So this would be a weak hand. We have 5 discards. So that makes this player an underdog. Too many gaps and weaknesses here. The north is a gap, is a weakness. Even the west is a weakness because that needs to be a pung. The south would be a gap. The 2 bam, that would be a weakness because we have 3 tiles in a block of 4 singles. So that's not a gap. That would be a weakness. So think about the gaps and the weaknesses. Count your discards to determine your position. So this player would need to take a low risk approach to playing the game. They might even consider folding and just blocking in hopes of a better start in the next hand. Okay, Gretchen, thank you. Welcome. Okay, so here's another hand. This is probably consecutive run number 4. Single pair Kong, double run. 7, 8, 9. We have a 7 bam, pair 8, pair 9, then a 7 dot pair. So we have an extra 7 dot, 8 dot pair, 9 dot, 7, 8, 9, single pair Kong. We have 1 weakness, the 9 dot. You could probably use the joker to Kong the 9 bam, but we can't do anything with that 9 dot. That would be a weakness. So only, it would be 1 hand, no gaps with 1 weakness. Since there are only 3 discards, well, actually 4, because that 7 dot would be a discard, this player would be a contender. So they can take a little more risk than the other player, an underdog, in the other 2 hands that we looked at. With, oh, sorry, I just wanted to point out, this hand, you could play consecutive run number 4, the concealed hand, actually. 7, 8 bam, 7, 8 dot, 9 crack pair. But you'd have to throw away a 9 bam pair. You would still have, let's see here, you would still have 4 discards plus joker bait, that unwanted pair. That's a lot of discards. So if you were to play that concealed hand, you would probably be an underdog. The next example we have is odds 1-1, 1 suit, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So look at this hand, and I'm going to give you a minute to assess it on your own and see if you get this concept of identifying or assessing your position. So look at the hand and count the gaps and weaknesses, the discards, and tell me if you think this player would be an underdog, a contender, or a front runner. Hi, Dee Dee, welcome. So let me know in chat if you think this player would be an underdog, a contender, or a front runner. And just for the sake of ease, put a 1 for underdog, or actually put a 3 for underdog, a 2 for contender, and a 1 for front runner. So 1 being best, out there in front. 3, 2, 1, underdog, contender, front runner. And I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Or I'll give you a minute so we can move on. Hello, B. I'm going to take a sip so you can do that. Does anybody want to venture to guess? If I don't see any numbers, I'll go ahead and just move on. No pressure if you don't want to put yourself out there. 3 would be an underdog, 2 would be a contender, 1 would be a front runner. Okay, Gretchen, good. Nancy said, okay, so B says front runner. Nancy and Kimmy and Karen all say contender. Jill says contender. Okay, so let's see. I say contender. This player would be a contender. They have 4 discards, but they have 2 weaknesses. The 1 crack needs to be a pung, and the 5 crack needs to be a Kong. 2 weaknesses, 4 discards. So this player is a contender. Here's another one. I think this might be the last one. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, Pung Pung, Kong Kong. This is hand 7-2, 2 suits, 1, 2 dot, 3, 4 crack, Pung Pung, Kong Kong. There's also a joker here that we can use. So we'll put in there 1 for front runner, 2 for contender, 3 for underdog on this one. This one's a little tricky, and it's something that we didn't talk about at length yet. So put in here in this new one what you think this one would be. 1, 2, or 3. Front runner, contender, underdog, respectively. 1, 2, 3. This one's a tricky one. Okay, Evelyn. All right. So this one, I would say would be a front runner. And here's why. 1, 2, 3, 4, Pung Pung, Kong Kong. This is a hand of least resistance. You can use any number of jokers in this hand, and we have a joker. You can pung the 1, pung the 2, and Kong either the 3 or the 4. You only need 1 good pick, and you'll be set for this hand. We have 3 discards and joker bait with the 2 crack. That 2 crack could get a joker in your hand if played well, and depending on the circumstances at the table. Because of that, I would say this player is a front runner. I would say this player is a front runner. So there's several things that you have to consider when you're assessing your position. The type of hand you're playing, how many gaps and weaknesses you have, if any, number of discards, and whether or not you have joker bait. Also, the type of hand you are playing. If you're playing a hand of least resistance, 2 pungs, 2 kongs, that is an indestructible hand. So you can quickly turn that hand around. So I would say, with all those things in mind, you can assess your position. And the whole purpose of doing that is to determine the level of risk you can take when playing the game. If you are a front runner, push to win regardless of risk. If you are a contender, take a moderate risk approach. If you are an underdog, take a low risk approach until you have a stronger hand. Well done, B. Okay. Here, oh, we do have one more. Here's evens number 2. 2, 4 crack, 4, 6 dot, 8 bam, 8 bam. 8, I almost said 8 bam pung. So this hand shape is pair pung kong. We have 3 discards and a joker. So 1, 2, 3, front runner, contender, underdog. What do you say here? This one's a little easier. I probably should swap these in the order, put the hardest one at the end. So I'll do that for this next time I share it. We'll swap the previous one. B says front runner on this one. For the sake of time, yes, that's correct. Front runner. This player's a front runner. They can. This is what I call being set. They could pung the 4 crack, pung the 6 dot, kong the 8 without any picks. Now, if they draw their tiles, that's even better. But they have only 3 discards. This player, it would likely be a winner if this is the hand after the Charleston. When you are in the pick and discard phase of the game, this is when critical thinking moves up a notch. Even during the Charleston, you're using critical thinking skills, but even more so during the pick and discard phase of the game. The process that happens in your mind, and most times without you even being aware, would be these 5 components or phases: observe, assess, consider, decide, execute. Your mind is going through all these phases so that you can make decisions. You've got to observe what's happening at the table, assess whether or not to act, consider what is in your hand and what is happening at the table, and decide whether or not you should claim a discard, let's say, and make an exposure. That would be the execute. So that would be an example of this process of critical thinking. And this, incidentally, is why we love the game so much, because it keeps our mind active. In the begin game, call discards for exposures when you know what hand you're playing, you have no gaps, and you have 1 or no weaknesses. And just contrary to this, if you have a gap and too many weaknesses, don't claim a discard to make an exposure until you have a stronger hand. Variables to consider: the phase of the game, the progress of your opponent's hands, the number of picks that remain in the wall, and the number of your tiles that are out on the table. And that includes the discards and exposures. Your opponents could have an exposure with your tile. So these are the variables that you need to consider. In the end game, if you think you have the winning tile for an opponent, you must consider the options, count the cost, decide, and then execute a plan. There's a fold plan. This is when you, in Mahjong, when you fold, you don't just stop playing like in poker. You fold and muck your cards, throw them in. You don't do that in Mahjong. In Mahjong, a fold is when you keep risky tiles and you break up your hand, even if you're ready to win or near ready to win, so that you can discard safely and force a draw. You want to block your opponents from further developing their hand or even winning. If you play to win, you're going to execute a push plan. So pushing to win would be, even if you draw a risky tile, you're just going to play to win. But you've got to think about the risk of that tile, because it could end the game and you could pay big. You could have a big penalty. So I just want to talk about that with this visual. On the left, we have likelihood. On the right, we have impact. In likelihood, we have improbable, with a tile that you draw from the wall that is risk, that has a risk likely to occur. You could have a possible risk likely to occur and then a probable risk most likely to occur. So when you draw a tile, it could have an improbable likelihood or a possible likelihood and then a probable likelihood. So think about the likelihood of that draw, that picked tile, creating a risk at the table. Now let's look at the impact that it could create. If your opponents do not have any exposures, no matter what kind of a discard that is, well, improbable, impossible, really even probable. If you don't have exposures out, it's going to be really hard to figure out what they're playing. So that would be an acceptable impact. Nobody has exposures. That would be an acceptable impact. But the more exposure somebody has, the bigger the impact, the more painful the impact. With 1 exposure, tolerable. 2 exposures, unacceptable. And then 3 exposures, intolerable. Clearly, you want to stay away from the final 2 columns. You do not want to have an unacceptable or an intolerable impact. So when you draw your tile in the end game and you see that you have a low impact, it could have a low impact with improbable or possible needed tile, go ahead and play to win if you are playing to win. Now, if it's a probable risk, Or if there are opponents with exposures, it's going to have a greater impact. So you might want to rethink your position and bump back if your winning tile maybe is not likely available. You might need to reevaluate your position and fold. So the more exposures people have, the greater the impact. You want to stay away from unacceptable and intolerable. Consider pushing to win if the discard impact would be acceptable and tolerable. So keep this visual in mind. And in the wiki article that I put a link for in the video description, it will take you to an article on this concept. The whole idea behind calculating risk is luck may be or may rule in the short term. Luck may rule in the short term, but in the long run, skill prevails. And that's why I do all these recurring topics in Nitty-Gritty Mondays, because I want you to play well and be a skillful player. This is a quote by Doyle Brunson, who is a poker guru. He's a professional poker player. So luck may rule in the short term, but in the long run, skill prevails. All right, so now we're going to play Mahjong, and I'm going to talk through hand development 101, like I shared in the presentation, and then I'm also going to share how to assess your position and how to adjust your position during the gameplay. And also we'll focus on the risk assessment, where we check our own hand development, and then with each pick and discard, we're going to decide whether we're going to fold or push to win. That's what I call push-fold judgment for American Mah Jongg. So I will go ahead and share my screen again, and we'll get started. Here's a table for us to play at right here. Does anybody have any questions about the presentation? We just need one more player at the table, but I'd be open to answer any questions you might have. Hi, Jingles, welcome. Mary, welcome. It was so nice to meet you yesterday. Again, meet you in person, I should say. We've met online. Okay, so here we go. We're also going to talk about risk assessment during the Charleston, because when you pass tiles, you're basically giving away discards, and you want to mitigate the risk there. So here we have a joker flower, 3, 8, 9 in BAMs. We have a 6 crack, 2, 5, 6 in dots, green dragon, pair white dragon, and an east. So whatever we do, we're going to use the white dragon. That's a given. We have another dragon. We could maybe use that. Maybe we could play the dragon hands in Winds and Dragons. There's 2 in there. Second one down and second one from the bottom. I think I would probably hold the two for maybe a year hand. And we do have a potential for like numbers with 6s as well. That would be the second hand down under any like numbers. So let's pass 5.39. So we have some things to work with. We have 1 multiple. So we picked up a 2 and a 4. I would say we should play a year hand. A year hand or all dragons. And then I would discard as safely as possible, leaving myself with the makings of another good pass. We do have some 2, 4, 6, 8 in here building. Uh-oh. What in the world? We just got a Homeland Security alert. That's weird. Sorry about that. Huh. Whatever. Okay, chlorine or something. We do have 2, 8 with 4, 6. This would be the second hand from the bottom, but we would have to throw away a pair of white dragons, so I wouldn't do that. Okay, someone gave us like numbers, so let's see how that changes our hand. And here's a dragon. I would definitely let the 8 and the 6 go. We do have 2 2s, so we could play like numbers with 2s, but we could still maybe play the all dragon hand. I think what I would do here is let the 1 dot go and focus on 2s for a year hand. All right, we got a 159. I would keep going, definitely. Probably give up the other one. Still focus on dragons, maybe like numbers, maybe a year hand. We don't have to pick a hand until we have only keepers. So we're in between right now, the year category and like numbers, or wins and dragons. We have the East back, and I would keep that because there is a dragon hand that uses news. Second hand from the bottom under wins. Boy, that 1 dot is really running around rampant. Okay, so let's go ahead and pass it along. It does us no good without the others. And even though that 1 dot is going around, we have a much stronger potential for like numbers with 2s. We got a flower. So that's another multiple. Anytime a new multiple forms, reassess. So I would probably try for either all dragons, second hand down under wins, or news with dragons, second hand from the bottom. And I would pass 3. So let's say we pass 2 bam, 5 dot, 9 bam, 2 9, 2 9 5. And we could still maybe even play a year hand. Okay, we had a very similar pass here. So we have 5 discards in a hand with no gaps, but several weaknesses. So what position would you say we're at right here? Put 1, 2, 3, front runner, contender, underdog, respectively. Tell me what position we're in, if you want. I'll give you a minute, and then I'll tell you what position I think we're in.
1 bamboo. 9 bamboo.
Gretchen says underdog. Karen, underdog. Kimmy, underdog. B, underdog. Yes, we are. Oh, I see. Dee Dee says contender. We're an underdog. If you have more than 4 discards, you're an underdog. We're an underdog. So we really don't want to claim any discards.
1 bamboo.
Now, in this particular case, because we could play a hand of least resistance, the second hand, we could claim discards for those dragons, but we would lock ourselves into that hand. It is an indestructible hand, though. So I would consider claiming a discard for the dragons.
9 dots.
Just because we have a hand of least resistance as an option.
1 dot.
Now, the wins, we need news if we're going to play that second hand from the bottom. We're going to need north, east, south, or northwest, south. Northwest, south. So there's 2 north, south, which
7 dots.
created a challenge for
4
us.
dots.
So a north would be an ideal pick for us. If one of these dragons go down, I would probably Kong.
2 characters.
And that's because we could maybe switch to the second hand from the bottom.
South wind.
Okay, so another dragon went down.
9 dots.
We're going to stick with this. You might think, well, why not switch to 2, 3, 4, 5 with dragons?
Dots.
Fifth hand down under consecutive run. We would have to throw away 2 pair.
8 bamboos.
I wouldn't do that. We got a south. That's good.
6 characters.
I would definitely Kong if one of these dragons go down. We have east and south, half of news, but we're in a little bit of a predicament with that because there are 2 north-south. So you always want to look at the discards and make sure that you're going to be able to complete your hand, especially if you need singles or pairs. So we're doing okay now. We have 4 discards. We just entered the middle game, third wall. I would say now we have a joker. So I would say we can consider ourselves to be a contender. We're just now into the middle game with 1 pick, and we have 3 discards. So I would say we could be a contender at this point. And what I would consider here is playing a gap hand.
2 dots.
We have no red dragon, but we could pung both of the dragons and then use the joker for a red dragon if we're not
8
able to get the
dots.
north or the west. We need to get one of those wins
1
in here before we commit to that second hand from the bottom.
7 bamboos.
That is what we're closer to, the second hand from the bottom. But we have weaknesses, north,
7
west.
dots.
2 norths are
5
out.
characters.
So until we get one of those in our hand, we're going to
characters.
take a conservative approach. Moderate. We're going to take a
5
moderate
bamboos.
approach or play conservatively.
Mahjong.
Okay, so we have a winner. They did have our west. 5-6 with east and west. 5-6 east west. They have 1 joker. They drew, oh no, somebody else threw the winning tile, the 5 bam. Over here, they have a red dragon, which is one of the things we were looking for. They're playing 6, 7, 8, or let's see here. Oh, they're trying for 6, 7, crack, 8, 9 with a Kong of red dragons. So we had a competitor for the dragon because they committed with a pung. I would not have done that, by the way. If I were playing this hand, I would have played 6, 7, 8, 9, pung, pung, Kong, Kong, because the dragon is weak. So I would have pung the 6, pung the 7, Kong the 8, and the 9 is ready to Kong. They could have been 1 away from ready if they had gone with the second hand from the bottom instead of the dragon hand, because that dragon is weak. They probably thought, oh, I have my pairs. And they thought that's where the strength was, but I would disagree. Here we have probably 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3 double run, 4th hand down, single pair Kong, 1, 2, 3. And they didn't have their 2s, so those would be weaknesses, which is, I don't think I saw any 3s out. That was a pretty quick build for the hand on the left. And I'm not surprised because this is one of those hands of least resistance. You can use any number of jokers, and they probably had a really successful Charleston. And we got pretty close. We were a contender. I probably would have pushed for the news hand, but it would have been risky. All right, so let's play again. Any comments or questions about how that particular hand went? Or about assessing your position and risk, calculating risks. We didn't get to the end game, so we weren't able to talk about push-fold judgment or using that risk assessment matrix. Okay, so now we have an interesting start. We have a pair of flowers and then a wide spread. So we're going to have a challenge. What I like to do when I have a wide spread like this, not counting the flowers, because we're going to be able to use that in almost half the hand, over half the hands. I look for like numbers. We have 7s. So whatever I do here, I would try to play something with 7s. So I would probably keep news, opportunity, and then I would probably keep, let's see, I wouldn't keep the dragon because we've got a pair of flowers. Let's see, maybe 6, 7, 8. And then past the 3, 5. Little bit risky there with the corresponding dragon. But you do the best you can with what you have left over. You got to focus on your own hand first. So now we have a west. So we almost have news, and we picked up our pair. We have a multiple now. So we picked a good category to focus on. We have 5 crack. That can go. We do have a little bit of big odds in here. But I think I would focus on news with 7s. I think that has some strong potential. So that's what I'm going to focus on. News with 7s, 3rd hand down under like numbers. We picked up a 7 dot pair now. We do have an extra wind here. We don't need that. At the moment, we have only 3 discards. That makes us a front runner right now. Even without finishing the Charleston, we're a front runner here. If we get a keeper, I would probably stop the Charleston. Let's see what we get. It'd be great if we could get a south and a 7. Let's see. Nope, we can keep going. So yes, we want to keep going. We have 3 discards right now. Looking good. It'd be nice to get one of these 7s and then a south. We got a north. I would not be distracted by that. It is a multiple, but we've got 2 multiples with the 7s, so I would focus on those. So we're just going to let this north go. Pass fully. We're looking for 7 bam, 7 dot south. We got a west, and I would pass fully again. We want to optimize for a keeper. We got a keeper. We have only 2 discards. Let's see if we can get a 7 here. They went 3. We can do 2. We're a front runner. We still need 1 more good tile. 1 keeper. And a joker will do. Once we get in the pick and discard phase of the game anyway. Oh, a 6 dot. Oh my gosh. Okay, 2 discards. So we are a front runner. We push to win. So if someone throws a 7, I would take it with that joker. It would be fine by me if somebody else gets it, because all we need is 1 good pick and we'll be ready to win or set.
9 bamboos.
Depending on how this goes down. So let's discard this 1.
1 dot.
The 6 dot was going around during the Charleston, so I don't think anyone's going to want that.
Four bamboos. 1 character. 7 bamboos.
Or Kong. We need Kong.
Kong.
Okay, so now
6
we just sit tight until we get a keeper. We need a joker or a 7 dot.
West wind. 9 bamboos. 3 bamboos.
Okay, the one went around in the Charleston.
1 dot. 1 bamboo.
So as a front runner, we play regardless of risk.
8 bamboos.
We're playing to win. Well, everybody plays to win. It's just a matter of how much risk you can take. How far out do you stick your neck?
8 characters. 6 dots.
We need a keeper. How about a 7 bam?
2 characters.
All right.
2 dots. 9 dots.
Does anybody
5
have any
bamboos.
comments about position? We're in the middle game now. We have one discard. It would be very nice. Let's see, how many 3 dots? Let's just discard the 9. If somebody
9
makes an
characters.
exposure with a 3 dot and a joker, we'll have a good tile for that exchange.
1 character.
Somebody might be playing threes. I see 1 3
3
crack, 1.
bamboos.
Okay, so 1 3 crack, 2 3 bams are out. I think we should
7 characters.
go ahead and discard this 3.
3 dots.
All right, we have an 8 bam. There's 1 out.
7 characters.
We want this 7 bam. Hopefully we'll pick it
1
or a
bamboo.
joker.
7 characters.
Oh, look, the 3 dot came in.
3 dots.
That's weird.
6 bamboos. Red dragon.
All right, we need a keeper. Keeper.
6 dots.
Give us a keeper here. A flower. We really don't need that at all, but we're going to make it pretty. So here goes the other flower. Oh, too
Flower.
late. I was clicking on the 4, but for some reason, the 4 flower, some reason the game is not picking up on my clicks. I don't think it's my mouse though, because I just changed the batteries.
3 dots.
Anyway, that's all right. It's still pretty.
6 characters.
There we go.
8
So we are
bamboos.
ready to win on a 7 dot at 60 tiles remaining. We're at the midpoint of the game. So this was an excellent result. We're a clear front runner.
Green dragon.
We have only 1 exposure, and that makes us
Hung.
semi-stealth mode.
6 dots.
Based on what is out, somebody could figure out what we're playing. There are no
White
wins out.
dragon.
We have a Kong of 7s. The 7 cracks are out. Somebody, a
1
savvy
character.
player could probably figure out what we're playing, or at least narrow it down to something consecutive or this particular hand.
5 bamboos.
Now with the dragons out, let's see, we could look at their discards and try to figure out what they're playing to see if maybe they could
4
have our
dots.
7 dots. Let's see here with a pung of dragons. There's 1 hand
4
under
dots.
odds with a pung of dragons and 7s. 3rd hand down on the right, so maybe the player across from us. They could be playing like
Flower.
numbers, but not with 7s, I don't think, because the 7 cracks all went down and the 7 bam is right here.
9 dots.
3s, 9s are going
3
down.
dots.
6s I see out. So no one's playing 3, 6, 9, and probably 5, 6, 7 or 6, 7, 8
2 bamboos.
is going to have great impact because there's a lot of 6, 7, 8 discarded. So now we know they're playing it probably
Green
a year
dragon.
hand over there. So they're not going to need a 7 dot across from us.
1 dot.
The player 2 are, oh, look, we got it. Exchange
7
for
bamboos.
Mahjong. Mahjong, woohoo! Aha, somebody was holding a 7 dot. If that were me, I would have thrown that a long time ago. Let's see. So like numbers with 7s in news. Here they have 2 discards, the dragon and the 7 dot. They have no flowers, so they're trying for like numbers with dragons. So they have that 7 dot. That is pretty risky. Here, 2, 4, 6, 8 year hand, and they have a weakness with their 2 crack, 3 discards. Over here we have news with 5s. They have, let's see, a weakness with the wind, a weakness with the flower, and a weakness with a 5. So 3 weaknesses here. So we were a clear front runner on that one. And we were a front runner during the Charleston. So we had a really good chance at winning this game. So I hope that determining your position is a bit eye-opening for you in regards to managing your expectation and also determining the level of risk you can take in the game. That's the purpose in assessing your position. And then calculating risks going along the way as you develop your hand, that will help you adjust your position according to what is happening at the table and the risks that could occur. All right, let's see what we have here. We've got a couple of jokers. That's nice. Okay, and then we have a pair of eights. I always target the multiples, start there. So whatever we play, we're going to use that eight, the 8-band pair. 8-band pair with what we have left, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8, 9 of some kind. And you don't pick a hand. There's no need to pick a hand. I would play something with 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 2 discards, so we need to let something go here. We have an 8-band 9, 7, 8, 9. We have 2 jokers, so I would not consider playing a pair hand. You know, like the 9, 9, 8 pair hand, third one down on the right. I would not even consider that. Okay, so we have a 7 dot and an 8. 7, 8, 9 is pretty significant here. 7, 8, 9, 7, 9, 7, 8. We need, I'm wondering if we could try for, let's see, I don't like to pass flowers, but I'm thinking we could maybe play 7, 8, 9 one suit Kong, or maybe 7, 8, 9 double run. So maybe keep the 8, 9 in cracks and then let one of these go, like the 9 dot, let's say. So the reason we had to look at the hand level is because we're running out of discards. We got to be able to pass defensively. So I picked a couple of hands to show me what tiles I can let go of. We got a keeper here, and I'm thinking we could play the 4th hand down, and I will risk passing a white dragon. We have 7, 8, 9, single pair, and then we need to Kong the 9, bam. Then we need a 7 crack, that's a single, and it is a gap. Or really a weakness, you could say, because it's just, we could be ready on a 7 crack, but we've got our pair in there, and then we need to Kong the 9 crack. So if we can get a couple of 9s, or maybe even that 7 crack, I think we would be doing really well for that 4th hand down. We got an 8, so I would reassess a little bit here. We have 2 pairs, or we have a pair of 8s and an 8. Do we want to keep going? I think so. I think what I would do is continue and give up the 4th hand and either switch to like numbers with 8s, and it would be a gap hand, or play 7, 8, 9, one suit Kong, because I do not pass flowers typically. Very rarely would I pass a flower. And now that we have a pung of 8s, I wouldn't play the 4th hand down with that because we'd have to discard one. Okay, so now we have an 8 crack in there. We have 2 pungs of 8s, and I would let the 9 go, and I would go for a gap hand. And in this case, it is a little risky still, but if you look at the first hand under like numbers, that is a hand of least resistance. And you can use any number of jokers. So we can define that joker as an 8 dot and even pung if one goes down. And we could still Kong one of these 8s. All we would need are flowers. So even though we're playing a gap hand, it's not ideal, but you can still make it work if it's a hand of least resistance. Oh, now that's good news. We got an east. So at this point, we could maybe play news with 8s. And we're going to the right. I would pass 2 because I don't like passing like numbers. I think that's almost as risky as passing a pair. So I typically don't do that. Welcome back, Wes. Okay, Misha's asking for an explanation about joker bait. I will definitely talk about that if we have that as an opportunity. So I will look for an opportunity for that to happen here. We did get a flower. And I'm going to go ahead and, well, let's just wait and see how many our opponent wants. I like to be reactive for the optional. So let's do 2. We can still maybe play news with 8s, but I'm thinking the first hand. And we're going to look for an opportunity to demonstrate joker bait, which is when you keep an unneeded pair. Right now, we don't have any of that. So it might not, anyone new to the concept might be confused. So let's wait until we have a pair that we don't need. So I will cover that. I'm sure we're going to have an opportunity to do that. So
Three
in this
dots.
case, we have, I would say 4 or 3 discards because this is our draw at the moment. Let's discard the dragon. And then also I'm going to define one of these jokers as an 8 dot. So now we're playing like
One
numbers with
character.
8s, and we are playing a gap hand, but
Flower.
thankfully we can use jokers. And here, I'm not going to take that. I don't think our hand is strong enough to expose a Kong with a joker. We would have
2
to,
characters.
we would lose it. We would lose that joker quickly. I would rather keep it so I can pung the
1
8 if it
dot.
goes down. So in this case, even though, well, we know what hand we're playing, but there's a gap, so we want to take a low
4
risk approach.
bamboos.
I would still say we're a contender until we either
South
fill the
wind.
gap or get another keeper, like another flower or another joker. And then I could say we could bump up to front runner, but I would play conservatively
Dragon.
for now.
1 dot.
Yeah, I would say we're a
2
contender on this one
characters.
until we get another keeper. And that's because we have a gap.
East wind.
So let's just wait and see what happens. A lot of little numbers down, 1 through 4, 2 wins.
6 bamboos.
We don't need a 9.
9 characters. 9 bamboos. 4 characters.
Okay, no.
2 characters.
I typically discard year
2
tiles
bamboos.
first, and we're still keeping this east in case we get the other wins for news,
3
because we're actually
bamboos.
closer probably to news because of the gap.
5 characters.
But I wouldn't commit to that hand, news with 8s
4 characters.
in this case, because we need more for that block of singles.
White dragon.
If I'm not using dragons, they go first. Usually I do wins first, then dragons, then year tiles. So the
5
2, 4,
characters.
those will go down. There's already a 4 crack out. No 2 dots
7
are out yet.
bamboos.
So that probably will be the next one to go.
7 bamboos.
Look, we got a keeper.
2 dots.
Okay, so I would say we're a front runner now. We do still need one more good pick though, because we could pung the 8 and
7
then we need a
bamboos.
flower or a joker, because we need a Kong of
West wind.
we need a Kong of dragon, a Kong of winds here. What am I thinking? A Kong of flowers, not a Kong of winds. I was looking at the east. A Kong of flowers.
West wind.
Okay, so let's see if we can get a flower. No. Oh,
White
why year
dragon.
tiles? Dee Dee, that's a great question. I like to throw year tiles because I do not ever want to pay for the big year hand.
6
So
bamboos.
I want to sabotage it if I can.
7
If I'm not
characters.
playing with year tiles, I let them go to sabotage the big year hand.
4 dots.
Hi, Tracy. Welcome. I hope that helps.
1 bamboo.
Also, if you think about it, the 2024 year that we're in, 224
9 bamboos.
and 2468, the category, that's a lot of hands.
1 bamboo.
So not only am I sabotaging the big year hand, but I'm creating
3 characters.
a hardship for
2
anyone
bamboos.
playing a year hand and evens by letting year tiles go. But that applies to every year. You want to sabotage the big year hand. You don't want to ever pay for that hand. Okay, so I would pass. We got the 8. Now I would let the east go. So now
East
I would
win.
say we are a front runner confirmed. We're a front runner now. We can act on every block. We can pung the 8 and Kong the flower.
8
One or
dots.
the other, and we'll be ready to win. So let's pung.
Pung.
And now we're ready to win on a
4
flower.
characters.
Ready to win on a flower. And we have only 1 exposure. There's no way anyone can
One
figure out what
character.
we're playing. They might be able to do a process of
Flower.
elimination. There it is. Mahjong. Woohoo!
Mahjong.
So we got like numbers with eights. And we had a bit of a fight on that, or not a fight. That one took a little bit longer to build. But let's see, where are we? We're at 50, is that 58 tiles remaining? So we did okay. We were right at the midpoint of the game, which is fairly early. So that was a good build, even though we were playing a gap hand. But the reason why this was a good hand to work with, especially when assessing your position, is because this is a hand of least resistance and we can use jokers. So the use of jokers helped us with a stronger position because it's an indestructible hand. Over here, we have probably all wins, I would say, or news with dragons. They might have been thinking about the news concealed year hand. Over here, a 3-6-9 hand, 3-6 crack, 6-9 dot, 2 discards. Over here, we have 5-6, 5-6, 5, bam, Kong. Not sure what they were working on here. Okay, so let's play again. Well, thank you, Connie. We didn't have an opportunity for joker bait. Maybe we will on this one. So let's see if we can get a joker bait example going. Misha, if you're still with us, we'll still look for that opportunity. I might have to step away to refresh my drink. Okay. Huh. Okay, what do we got? So we have 2 pairs of 5s. 2 pairs of 5s. We have a lot of 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's what I would focus on. 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe it seems like this is a good like number day for us, but I would not pass like numbers with 9s. So I would let the South go and focus on 5, 6, 7 of some kind. I would not pick a hand. We're just going to gather and see what we can do. Okay, we got a 5 and a 6. We have lots of 5, 6 here. 5 bam pung, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8. Here's 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 5 bam pung, 5 crack 6. Let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's see here. I think I would let the 6 crack go. This is a bit of a challenge because I don't want to pass like numbers with 9s. I think I would let the 8 go. What would be ideal in here would be to get a 4 bam. We could do 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we don't have any keepers. We do have another multiple there, 9 dot pair. So if we, let's see here, we can let the 2 and the 8 go, a little bit risky. If we get a 7 bam, we could do 5, 7 bam, 7, 9 dot. I think I would let that go though. That would be a pretty big, that's a big gap. I'd rather oh look, we got the 4 bam. We let the 7 dot go though. Still, I would hold it. Let's see, and I think I would let this 9 dot go. Keep going. We could maybe play the concealed hand. It's a gap hand, which would mean we'd be an underdog until we fill a gap, but we could do 4, 5 bam, 4, 5 crack, 6 dot pair. We've got the pair in there, but we have a gap, no 4 crack. So we would need to play very, very conservatively until we fill that gap. We could also maybe do like numbers with 4s. So let's keep an eye on the wins if they come through. Like right here, we have a north. So let's keep the north because we could do news with 5s. And I don't know why it just keeps developing in here. I think we've played like numbers with news 3 times today. It's kind of strange how that works out, but you play the tiles you're dealt if you want to win. And any win is a good win as far as I'm concerned. Okay, no keepers. You know what, though? There's a 3 crack. No, I was thinking we can do 3, 4, 5. I don't think so. We don't have a 4. That's a big gap. That would be a pair gap. If we did single pair Kong, 3, 4, 5, we have no 4 crack. That'd be a pair gap. That would be terrible. At least with the concealed hand, we could use jokers because we have our pair. That is a hand of slight resistance, and we have the pair, which makes it playable, even if you have a gap. Okay, now here we need to do the optional across, and we have like numbers. I would not pass those. We do not want those, but I would not pass fully here. I would only pass 2 probably. We could give up on the north and pass 3. Let's just wait and see how many this player wants. I think I'd rather do 2, but they're delaying their offer, which means I bet they want 1, and I don't want to pass 1 tile. I would decline that offer. So let's see. We're going to take it to 3 seconds and then decline. So we'll say no. All right. So we're in between hands. We could play like numbers with news and 5s, in which case we have 4 discards and joker bait. Misha, this is an example where we could have joker bait here. If we were to play like numbers with 5s and news, we could use the 6 dot as joker bait. That would be an unwanted pair. And the idea is that you hold on to it, and then in the midpoint, which is a sweet spot for joker bait, you discard 1. If the tile hasn't been discarded yet, you could discard 1, and then someone makes an exposure with a joker, and then on your next turn, you do the exchange with the other tile. So let's just go ahead and play it out this way for a while, and unless we
7
fill a gap.
dice.
I would keep this 4 bam for a while, because we could maybe do 4, 5,
1
4, 5
bamboo.
crack, 6 dot pair, 4 bam,
8
4, 5 in
characters.
bams. Okay, so there's a joker. That would be
2
a
bamboos.
potential. That would be a keeper for sure. We could maybe Kong both our 5s.
6 characters.
But I think I'd only Kong 1 because we have only 1
1
wind.
character.
We need 4 wins. We have 1. So I would not play
6
that hand out
characters.
until we get more. Okay, so let's let the 8s go.
8 dots.
Okay, Misha says, why decline if only 1? Because it means your opponent's is close. Likely, yes. It's not a
3
guarantee
characters.
because some people will be
1 character.
straddling 2 categories or 2 hands and ask for
6
1 tile
characters.
because they can't decide. We won't know that. We wouldn't know that, of course,
8 characters.
playing, but we have to assume. And you know what happens when you assume. Let's
Green
just
dragon.
put that out there. But you need to
4 bamboos.
think about the potential of your opponent having a well-developed
6 dots.
hand. Because if they have oh, look what we got, the 4 crack. Okay, so see, I would
4 dots.
change my mind completely here because I would want to leverage that pair. We could
1
play now. We
bamboo.
filled a gap. 4, 5 bam, 4, 5 crack, 6
1
dot pair.
character.
We have 3 discards. We're a front runner for the concealed hand.
9 characters.
So I would not use that as joker bait now. And we just drew a joker.
Flower.
So we're just now going into the middle game, and we have 2 discards, and we filled a gap. So
3
4, 5 bam,
characters.
4, 5 crack, 6 dot pair. We're focused on 4s at the
East
moment.
wind.
But back to the optional cross with 1.
3
You just want to.
characters.
You don't want to do the optional lacrosse with someone who
7
has a
dots.
well-developed hand, because you could help them further develop their hand and maybe even win quicker. So that's why I
2
would decline.
characters.
And it is a shrewd decision to do that. It's good strategy. It's not
8 dots.
personal. It's not a personal affront to decline the optional. And if they're in
4
between,
dots.
then, you know, it's okay. They could be
8
in
dots.
between and ask for one, but they're only hurting themselves. It's best not to straddle. It's best to pick the strongest option and pass
3
fully.
dots.
If I were in between two categories or two hands in the optional, I would pick the stronger option and
8
pass
dots.
fully. Okay, so now we
9
have
dots.
one discard.
Pung.
We got skipped. Okay, Wes, I've noticed when playing against others who I know
1
watch your
dot.
videos, we both wait and wait for the other to go first. Oh, I
Green
know.
dragon.
I really wish they would. Look. Oh my gosh.
North
We're ready to
wind.
win. Ready to win on a double weight. Okay, so we can use these jokers here for a
5
4 or
dots.
5. We're ready to win on one of two tiles. So this was an excellent build. We're even before the midpoint of the game. So that when we filled that gap with the 4 crack, this was a great switch.
White dragon.
And that happened right about that sweet spot, the switch sweet
White
spot.
dragon.
70 tiles remaining. So we're ready to win on a 4 crack or 5 crack.
1 bamboo. Red dragon.
4, 5, 4, 5, 6 concealed
2 dots.
consecutive run. It's not a guaranteed win, of course. There could be other front runners at the
9
table.
characters. 8 bamboos.
But we have a strong weight here. 4, 5.
7 characters.
Or a joker. We could draw a joker too.
North wind.
All right, let's see. Here comes our turn.
8 bamboos.
Nope.
South wind. 7 bamboos.
I do see a couple of 4s out there. 4 bam, 4, let's see, 4 dot. I do see a lot of 2, 4, 6, 8 out. So I'm thinking that we should be
1 bamboo.
We should see a 4 crack, but the 5 band or 5 crack, I'm not sure. There it is. Mahjong. Woohoo!
Mahjong.
We got another one. That is very nice. 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. Hand of slight resistance. We needed only 1 pair, and we had it early. Over here, we have news with probably north-south with 2, 3, I think. They're kind of in between. They have a lot of 2s and 3s in there. Here we have 5, 7. I'm thinking 5, 7, 9 concealed, but they have a pair gap, no 7 dot. Here, 3, 6, 9 dragon. Second hand from the bottom. They need a flower in there, and they have an extra 6 and an extra 9. So 2 discards, but a nicely developed hand. So they did have a well-developed hand. This is the player who, no. Where are we? Right over here. This is the player who didn't, delayed their offer. And they do play with me, so they might have been waiting for me to offer. All right, so we'll play again. Thank you. Thank you for the kudos on that. All right, here we go. Next game. Hopefully we'll get to play at least 2 more hands. Okay, we have a pair of 1s. When I get my dealt hand, the first thing I look for is multiples. We've got a pair of 1s, so whatever we do, we're going to use the 1. right there. So let's see. We've got a lot of odds. We have a 1, 2, but way more odds in this hand. So I would probably hold odds 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 9. This could be pretty telling. I think what I would do so that it's not telling is let the dragon go instead of passing a 2 and an 8, because that's an indicator that we're playing odds. 2, 8 would indicate an odd hand. So next we can pass a 2, 6, which still would both be evens, but we'll see. Let's see what we get, because if we get 4s, 6, 7, we could switch to consecutive run, because now we have a new multiple, the 7 crack. So I would reassess, and we have a pair of 6s. So I would break up the 1 and focus on the 6, 7. That would be 2 pair. We have misfit multiples right now, 1.67, because we can use 2. I would let the other one go, the one that is misfit, the 1 dot. So I would break that up and I would play 6, 7, 8, 9, or 5, 6, 7, 8. So probably 5, 6 dot, or 5, 6 bam. I think I would let the 7 dot go here. 5, 6, or maybe the 9 crack. Focus on 5, 6, 7, 8 of some kind. Okay, so we got an 8. We'll keep that maybe, because now we have a pair of 1s and a north. So I would let the 8 bam go this time. It's isolated from the 6. We have 5, 6 bam, 7, 8 crack. That's a hand with no gaps. Second hand from the bottom on the right under consecutive run. Probably the 7 dot can go. Okay, we got a 7 bam. Look at all these 1s though that keep coming in. A lot of 1s keep coming in. Okay, let's just keep an eye on it. So we have 5, 6, 7, then a 7 and 8. I would probably let the 5 dot go. This is a little bit risky. The 1s keep coming and going, but there's not a lot we can do with them. And I'd rather leverage what we have than what I hope to get, because the 1s might come back. I don't want to make decisions based on hope. I want to make decisions based on fact. 5, 6, 7, or 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. Let's see. 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7, 8 of some kind. Okay, so we got a 7 and a 9. Let's see here. 6 dot or 6 bam. We need to be able to pass. So we're gonna, let's just keep, yeah, I would just keep it going. I was thinking that maybe we could gather for 9, 9, 8 pair hand, third hand down on the right under singles and pairs, but we have no other 9s. You've got to have your 9s if you're going to play that hand. And we only had 1 9 in there. Okay, so now we're going to the right. We have 2 clear discards. We have 5, 6, 7, 8, or 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 ways. I would let the 7 dot go. So we're focused on 6 bam, 7 crack. Now we have another pair in here. So there's an 8 bam pair. 5, 6, 7, 8, 1 suit or 2 suits. Second hand from the bottom. Let's see how many our opponent wants first. I would break up this pair to pass fully, because joker bait at this early stage in the game doesn't work. You got to hold it for until the the midpoint of the game, which is about 60 tiles remaining. We have way too far to go. I'd rather get a full pass. Okay, so we have 4 discards and two hands with no gaps. There's a keeper. So we could play 5, 6 bam, 7, 8 crack, or 5, 6, 7, 8 and 1 suit. No gaps either way.
1 character.
And either way, we'll have joker bait. With either the 8 bam or the 7 crack will be joker bait, depending on which way we go. We have 3 discards with joker bait.
South wind.
And probably another discard in here. So that's
Red
4
dragon.
Discards with joker bait. Oh, there's a keeper now. Okay, let's let the 1 go. So
1
now
dot.
that we have another multiple in there, I would do the 1 suit option and use the 7 crack as joker
9
bait. So we have
bamboos.
3 discards plus joker bait. I would say we're a contender.
South wind.
And that's because joker bait is
3
a hit or miss
characters.
tactic. Even though we could maybe get a joker in our
1
hand,
bamboo.
it's going to be situational. We don't know what our opponents are doing. So we're going to watch the
3
discards and
characters.
see if we can use the 7 crack for joker bait at about 60 tiles remaining. So let's just see what
Green
happens. We're not ready to claim a discard for anything because
1 bamboo.
we need something for our 5. Oh no, look. Oh my gosh. Now we have equal potential.
2 bamboos.
We have equal potential for both of those hands.
9
Second hand from the
characters.
bottom. So let's just wait and see. We have 1 discard before we have to pick. That's kind of funny how it turned out that way.
Four bamboos.
There is still potential for the 4th hand down. 6, 7, 8, single pair Kong. We have no
7
6 crack
bamboos.
though. We need to Kong that. So we're going to pass.
2 dots.
So probably now we're in a better
West
position
wind.
for the 7, 8 and cracks because we're going to need a joker for the 7 bam unless we switch to single pair Kong. 4th hand
1
down,
dot.
double run. Let's just see if we can get 8s.
West wind.
We keep getting little numbers here.
2 characters. Six characters.
All right, so let's see.
8 bamboos.
It would be ideal to get, see, we're not ready for that either. So I would say
3
7, 8 in
bamboos.
cracks. Let's just wait and see. We have 1 discard before we have to choose. We could still use joker. Oh, look, we got the 8. So we're in a position
7
where
dots.
we're going to need jokers, which is fine. This is an indestructible hand.
8 dots.
And we have joker bait with 7, 8 here. Neither of these are out yet.
5 bamboos.
That's our tile, but we're not ready. Somebody, okay, now that's interesting. So let's see here.
7 dots.
You know what I would do? I would take it.
5 bamboos.
I would take it and I would play 6, 7, 8, double
1
run
character.
and use the 6 bam as joker bait now.
7 characters.
That's a pair for us. So we have 6 bam 7, Kong the 8, we need a joker, 6 crack 7
dots.
pair, Kong the 8 crack, 6 bam joker bait.
7 dots.
So we switch to the 4th hand down, single pair Kong
1
double run
character.
because the 5 bam
9
blocked
dots.
our pung. And also the joker situation that we need here really pointed to a different hand
North wind.
because we would have needed 2 jokers. Now we only need 1.
South wind.
We got that
1
1
character.
3 turns in a row. That's kind of weird. So we do have a vulnerability here, the 6
5
crack.
characters.
There's 1 out, but we could be ready on a single
Mahjong.
tile. Okay, so our opponent here on the left got a win. Like numbers with 5s. Well done. Only 1 exposure, so that's very good. Over here, 3, 6, 9. 3669, probably first hand, dots and cracks. Over here we have a looks like a year hand of some kind there. And we got pretty close here. We have 2 discards for single pair Kong. Okay, let's try to play at least one more hand. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here for these nitty-gritty Mondays. I hope you're enjoying it. And I appreciate all the interaction. Lots of good questions today in chat. Let's see if we can get a good deal for this hand. We have a couple of jokers and a pair of dragons. Well, look, we've got a pair of flowers too. Yeah, thank you, Wes. We have had some good wins in here. Okay, so we have a pair of flowers and a pair of dragons. With a pair of flowers and a pair of dragons, maybe we could play 1-3-5 dragon or news with dragons. I want to try to leverage this pair of flowers. Let's see here. With a 3 bam, a 1, we need to be able to pass. So let's let the 8, the 9, and the 4 go. Let's see, because I want to use the flowers. I want to plan my hand to use the flowers. Otherwise, I would maybe do 3-4 dragon, but we don't have a 2. We don't have 5-6. So, you know what we could do? We could pass 8-5-9 and keep the 4. Just see what happens. Because if we get a 2 bam, we maybe could let the flower go. Okay, now we have a south, and we have 2 discards here. I would not pass like, oh wait, look, we got a 1. Let's let the 4 go. Okay, so now 1-3. I'm looking at this third hand down under odds. We have a gap, no 5, but we could use the jokers to help us with that 5. It's a gap hand, not ideal. Definitely not ideal. You want to avoid playing a gap hand if you can, which is why I'm also considering news with dragons, which is also a gap hand at the moment. Second hand from the bottom under winds and dragons. Flowers with 2 dragons and news. So let's just see what happens. There was a little potential for news with 1s, but we would have had to have discarded the 3 with a 4 or break up the dragon. I'm hoping, that's what I was hoping right there. We get the 5 or another dragon, and we got both. We have 1 clear discard. So now we have to pick something. I think the winds are weak because we have no east-west. So I would probably break that up and let the dragon go and play 1-3-5 dragon. We have our pairs. We're 1 away from set. We can use the joker for the 3 and 1 good pick for either the 3 or 5. So 1-3-5 dragon, a little bit of a different hand today. Third hand down on the left. Thank you, Jill. We got a keeper, and we still have 3 tiles to pass. So we can pass. Oh yeah, we want to keep going. We have 3 good discards. Oh, okay, now our opponent across from us stopped the Charleston. So we want to decline any offer. We have 3 discards. We're still a front runner. I just want to see, because I've never seen this player at the table. They want 2. We're going to decline. I wanted to see if they made an offer after stopping the Charleston. I always like to get to know my opponents. I don't know if they stopped because they're straddling or if they stopped because they have a well-developed hand. I don't know them well enough yet. So here we need to pung and Kong 3-5. We have 3 discards. There's still some potential in here for the dragon hand with news. We have 2 discards actually because we were the dealer. So we're a front runner on this one. We need a good pick from the wall, but we can use jokers if we need to here. If the 3 or the 5 go down, I would call. And I would even
East
risk
wind.
those jokers going away because we're a front runner.
8
This is an
characters.
example of why you can take the risk as a front runner
West
because we're
wind.
so close. We're only 2 away from a ready hand. We need one good pick and we'll be set. There it is. So
One
now we have
dragon.
one discard. We're ready to call. Pung and Kong. So one
Five
exposure. We'll have a
dots.
1 exposure hand, maybe stealth,
6
semi-stealth
characters.
mode, and we're pretty likely to win this hand. It's not a
North
guarantee,
wind.
but I would say we have a strong. Okay, we really don't need that.
South wind.
We don't need that. It sure looks pretty though. We only need 3.
2 bamboos.
So we're looking for a 3 bam or a 5 bam to claim a discard.
7
It would be
dots.
better to draw it, of course. You want to try to minimize your exposure. Don't expose if you don't have to.
White dragon.
Okay,
6 dots.
Dee Dee's asking, can you explain the blind pass? When you play with real tiles, you get
Hung.
confused because on the computer it's automatic. Sure, we might be able to play one more game and we can talk about passing blind.
9 characters.
I have a wiki article on that as well that you might find helpful.
8 bamboos.
Let's see.
7 dots.
But you want to be very
West
mindful about your reason for passing blind. Here's the wiki article for after the live stream. You can check
9
that out.
dots.
Okay, we had a lot of dragons in here.
White dragon.
So
East
we do
wind.
have a player on the left with an exposure, so they're playing to win.
9
They have enough
bamboos.
of a direction that they're willing to risk an exposure, so they're at least a contender, I'd say.
3 dots. Three characters. East wind.
We're looking for a 3-5. We're playing the
5
third.
bamboos.
There we go. Let's Kong.
Kong.
And now we'll discard the dragon.
Green dragon.
And we're ready to win on a 3 bam. Semi-stealth
8
mode.
bamboos.
That 5 bam could be used for all kinds of hands. There's no way they're going to peg this
East
hand.
wind.
So we're ready, stealth mode, semi-stealth mode on a 3 bam.
1 character.
Or joker. If we draw a 5 bam, we could self-pick win. Oh, another joker open to buy.
5 characters. Five dots.
We don't need that.
1 bamboo.
Oh, are they playing like numbers? Like numbers over there.
2 bamboos.
So they will discard a 3 bam if they get it. They're playing to win with 2 exposures.
3 dots. Four dots. 6 bamboos. 9 dots.
Okay, it looks like nobody's playing 3, 6, 9. I think we have a good
2 dots.
chance at someone discarding the 3 bam soon.
9 bamboos.
And we were ready before the
7
midpoint, which is really
characters.
good. If you can be ready to win by the end of the 3rd
2
wall,
characters.
that's ideal. But being ready before the midpoint, that's fantastic.
3 bamboos.
There it is. Mahjong. Woohoo! I love just doing the woohoo thing. So if it bugs you, I'm sorry. Okay, 1, 3, 5 dragon, 3rd hand down under odds. That's a pretty hand. I like the dragon hands. I do. let's see, we have, it looks like multiplication here, but they have gap. They have a gap. They have no 2 foreign cracks. So that reveals a little bit to me that this player's an orca. They're willing to take a risk with an exposure, even if they have weakness or gaps in their hand. So you can learn about your opponents. Here, here's another one. This is another orca playing style where they're playing like numbers, but they have a gap, no flowers. So they're willing to take the risk, which there's no right or wrong necessarily. It is a harder way to play the game because you can paint yourself into a corner. Over here, we have 7, 8, 9, 7, 8 with north and south. They have joker bait with 9 crack. Oh no, they have options because they could do 8, 9 or 7, 8. They've got 2 discards with options. I would say they were a contender as well. Okay, so we can squeeze in one more game. One more game. Everyone's playing very well today here. So kudos to these players. I'm very happy to have competitors at the table. Strong players at Mahjong Time. Okay, this will be the last game, and we'll talk about passing blind during the Charleston. We might actually have an opportunity to talk through that because we have 3 jokers taking up some space. That's going to limit our ability to pass somewhat. We have a pair of 5s. We do have 5, 7, 9, but no corresponding dragon. Third hand down again. But on the big end, big odds with flowers and 5s. Let's see here. Flowers and 5s, I'd probably keep that north. You know what we could do? We could try for a quint. Let's do this. Let's see, let's let the north go with the 9 bam and a 6. Because if we get a 9 dot, we can switch to big odds 5, 7, 7, 9, second hand down. Otherwise, we can go for this quint, 4th quint. That looks pretty good to me. Opposite dragon. Okay, no keepers. So we're looking at the 4th quint or big odds. Although, if we get a 6 bam, we could play 5, 6, 7, 1 suit Kong. We could play 5, 6, 7 mixed suit Kongs if we get a 6 crack. Those are good keepers right there. Leveraging the pair of flowers. If we can, I'd like to do that. Okay, so now we have the dragon. The 9 bam could come back. If you're able to remember what's coming and going, you can leverage that knowledge. Let's keep that dragon to see if maybe the 9 bam comes back. And then we could play the same hand we did before, only with big numbers. 5, 7, 9 dragon. Otherwise, we'll play the quint. Okay, so we do have a 7 bam pair now. All right, I'd give up on the quint and leverage that. We can use jokers to help us with our 9. We only need a pung, and we could define that as a 9. It's another gap hand, but that's okay. If you have the jokers and you've got your pairs, go for it. It's not ideal, though. Just full disclosure, it is not ideal. You want to avoid a gap hand if you can. Okay, so now we have 6 and an 8. I would let the 8 go, and I would also probably let that gap hand go for a hand with no gaps. So this is a really good example of decision making where you're focused on the opportunity with no gaps. 5, 6, 7 instead of 5, 7, 9 dragon. So now we have a no gap hand. It's better. It's ideal. We need one good pick for the 6. We just need a little more help with our 6. We can Kong the 5 and the 7. We need the 6 band in here. But a joker will do. We've got our pair of flowers. Third hand down under consecutive run. No keepers. And I would pass these just fine. It's a little bit risky passing a white dragon, but that's okay because we have a hand with no gaps and 3 multiples, which is great. We got a keeper and we are now set. So we have 2 discards in the Charleston. We're a front runner. There's our hand right there. Kong all 3. Good to go. Let's see how many our opponent wants. They want 3. We're going to do 2. And we are west, so we do not have an extra tile this time. But I'd say we're a front runner on this one. Oh my goodness, we got a keeper. So we have only 1 discard. This is an amazing build right here. 1 discard. If at the worst, we'll have 1 exposure. So we'll play semi-stealth mode. Unless we draw a keeper. Oh, look, a north. Oh, yeah, that's
North.
So we didn't have an opportunity to pass blind on this one, but you just want to make sure that you're not straddling. If you're in between hands or categories, pick the stronger option and pass fully. It behooves you to pass fully during the Charleston. So if you're straddling, pick the stronger option and pass fully. That's my best advice.
2 dots.
I hope that helps, and I hope the article will help as well. Sometimes you can, if you have 1 particular hand and
3 bamboos.
You have risky tiles, you could maybe consider passing blind. It just really depends. It's very situational. And it's hard to create a scenario in the game. I can only talk through what happens at the table in this case. But
5 dots.
The best advice I have with passing blind and even stopping the Charleston is don't straddle. Don't straddle categories or hands. Pick the stronger option and pass fully and keep going. That's my best advice.
9 characters.
Or best practice, I guess is what you could say. Best practices. Because you want to take advantage of those passes. The whole purpose of the Charleston is to expedite hand development.
8 dots.
I like to call it the hand development accelerator.
8 dots.
There's purpose in the process.
9 dots.
Okay, we need a keeper.
2 dots. 9 characters.
I don't normally place jokers. Usually I just keep them to the side. But I thought I'd tuck them in there so you could see that we were set. This should be
7 characters.
I was thinking this was going to be a good tile because of the delay.
9 characters.
They got a joker. All right.
7 characters.
We need to get a move on here.
3 dots. 1 character.
Okay, there's only 3 BAMs out there, which is interesting.
Wind.
We could have a competitor for these tiles.
8 bamboos. 2 bamboos.
So this player across from us has evens in front of them, 8s and a 4. I'm wondering if they're playing the second hand from the bottom
2
under
characters.
odds. They could have our
5
5-7
characters.
in BAMs. If that's the case,
7 characters.
we'll need jokers if they're playing that offsuit
2
dragon
dots.
hand, 5-7 BAM. Let's hope that they're doing 5-7
2
dot.
bamboos.
5-7 dot with green dragons. There's one green dragon out.
Wind.
Another flower. We don't
5
need
dots.
that flower.
East
Tracy.
wind.
Yes, we need to be patient. That's true.
North wind.
I'm just thinking that they could have our tiles. I like
4
to
characters.
manage my expectations.
7 dots.
Oh, we should let this flower
4
go.
dots.
We don't want to hold on to a flower. We only need a pair. So we'll swap it out.
1 character.
You know what? They could be playing like numbers with 9s over
7 dots.
there. Okay, let's let the flower go.
Flower. 5 dots. 3 dots.
Interesting.
Green dragon.
No hesitation on the green. It looks like nobody's
2
playing winds,
characters.
so we'll keep the wind.
8 characters.
And the 2 crack was a year tile.
Four dots. 9 bamboos.
Okay, this is interesting right here. There was a hesitation on that 9.
8 dots. 8 characters.
None of our tiles are out.
5 characters.
You know, they could be playing 3-6-9 over there as well.
3 bamboos.
Let's hope they're playing 3-6-9.
7 characters. 8 dots.
Oh, are you surprised that we're still going?
8 characters.
I am.
8 bamboos.
Oh my goodness, come on now.
White dragon. 2 bamboos. 8 characters.
Wow.
South wind.
Oh my goodness.
South wind. 3 characters. Five characters.
Oh, shoot. I was thinking that was the 5.
7 bamboos.
There we go. Kong.
Kong.
I almost dropped an F-bomb. Okay,
East wind.
so we're in a good position now. We're ready on a double weight.
Green dragon.
That's a strong weight, 5 or 6. We have 1 exposure.
South wind.
Now, with what is absent at the table, any savvy player will know what we're
3
playing,
bamboos.
even with 1 exposure.
Red dragon. 3 dots.
So we're on a double weight.
Red dragon.
But this is when people use that
4 bamboos.
push-fold judgment. Uh-oh, I'm playing to win.
Flower.
That's risky. Super risky.
Quint.
Quint. Better than Mah
West
Jongg.
wind.
Much better than Mah Jongg. How about a flower?
Kong.
Oh, we got skipped. Now the exposures come out. Throw our tile. Come on.
9 bamboos.
No, not that one.
Red dragon.
Oh my goodness. I can't wait to see what they're playing over there.
7 dots.
Okay, that's at least a good discard.
Red dragon.
Oh, this is going to be a risky one. I feel it.
White dragon.
No, that wasn't it. My feelings were deceiving me. Okay, here's someone thinking
6
about
characters.
Oh, I thought that might have been it.
Green dragon.
Okay, we need a keeper. Oh, shoot.
2 characters. 9 bamboos. 7 bamboos.
Oh, they got a joker. We get
1 bamboo.
4 more picks.
Quint.
Oh, goodness. 2. Well, we don't know
4
if they're playing a
characters.
quint over there, but 2 quints. Huh. Interesting.
9 bamboos.
This is an interesting game.
1 character. 5 dots.
They're going to play to win. They just made an exposure with a quint.
7 dots.
So they would likely discard, I'll betcha.
8 bamboos.
Okay. I can tell everyone's playing very defensively, but I think too they're
4
playing to
dots.
win.
2 dots.
5, 6, 7, 8 on left. 8 dots are out. 8 bams are out. I don't know. It looks like all the 8s are out.
4 bamboos.
8 dots are out. 4 8 bams are out. And 4 8 cracks are out.
4 bamboos.
We have 1 more pick.
4 characters. 4 characters.
Okay, it's not up to us now.
3 characters. 1 dot.
No.
5 characters.
Darn it. Aha. Stinkers. Okay, now I'm confused. I wonder why this player didn't exchange the joker. They could have been ready for their quint. And then here, they're playing 3, 6, 9, so they needed our 6 bam. Over here, they have our 5 and 6. So, Wes, you had the hand pegged, but they're playing 3, 4, 5, 6 instead of 5, 6, 7, 8. But that's a good call. Well done with hand reading. But this player, I'm surprised they didn't exchange the flower. They could have been ready on that 9 dot. Even though it's out, if they had another opportunity for a joker exchange, they would have been able to win if the game maybe had a little more play in it. But we have our opponents holding our tiles, 5, 6 here, and then a 6 here. And of course, we have 3, 5 bams, and none are out. Let's see here. Oh, we have 3, and here's the other one. So our opponents were both using our tiles. So even though we're ready on a double weight, we were going to need a joker for this one. All right, so that's going to do it for this nitty-gritty Let's Play live stream. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you found calculating risks helpful. Look for links in the video description below to the wiki article on why weight patterns matter. That is the title, but within there is that risk matrix. And then also all about weight patterns, which kind of fits into this whole position and calculating risk concept. So I think you'll find it very helpful. Also, there's a link to the skills and strategies matrix, which has a list of all the topics that we go through on a recurring basis in the nitty-gritty Let's Play live streams on Mondays. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you. I also appreciate so much the interaction in the chat. Thank you for asking questions and for sharing your ideas, your thoughts. I love the camaraderie. Also, moderators, thank you for helping monitor the chat. Wes, would you like to share about the pig since we're done with the live stream? Someone asked about the pig. So stick around if you want to hear this quick story. It's hilarious. Okay. I don't want to spill the beans. It's just hilarious. And I want to know what's happening too. So if you want to hear about it, stick around. Okay, last week someone abandoned a pot-bellied pig in your driveway. Okay, that sounds like a rural problem to me. Yep, okay. Excuse me. Okay, the pig just started destroying your yard and flower beds. Oh my gosh, that stinking pig. We asked all the neighbors, but no one claimed her. Oh, that's kind of sad, actually. Poor thing. We put her picture on a lost pet site. Okay. I want to see the photo. Was this before the storm or close to it? Okay, she survived the hurricane, so we're calling her Helene. Oh, that's awesome. You're emailing me the picture. Okay. Okay, let me see. Oops, I keep opening my tasks, which is really full, by the way. Okay, let's see here. You want to see a picture of Helene? I'm looking for your email. It might take a minute because it's going to be a photo. So do you still have her? What are you feeding her? That is so funny. It was a pleasure to meet you in person and your lovely wife, Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. Oh, it's not small. Yes, animal control will not take pigs. We're looking for a new home. Oh, good. Did you try Meetup to see if there's like a farm animals meetup group? Oops, doggone it. I keep opening up my task manager. Okay, here we go. Oh, my goodness. Okay, there she is. There she blows. There's Helene. Okay, let me see here. Let me do it this way. Oh, I didn't share the screen, but I don't want to divulge Wes's personal email. So let me just save it here. I'll put it in a note. Oh my gosh, your poor yard. Oh man, they do what they do. Someone told me they're a lot like dogs, just with their demeanor. Let me just go full screen here. There she is. Oh no, Tracy. Do you see it now? The event was a lot of fun. Yeah. I just want to say also shout out to Renee and her team at Explore Brookhaven in Brookhaven, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta. They did a great job with the event. Everyone had a great time. I sure had a great time. And the weather cooperated, which was wonderful. They had all kinds of great prizes and even a vendor with some beautiful tabletops. Let's see. So if you want to know more about it, look for on my calendar for the event yesterday, and I'll make sure to have a link so that you can see the amazing tabletops that you can get if for your gameplay. And then also big shout out to Renee and her team there. Also shout out to Sean Martin and her team at Rocket Mahjong and Two Sparrows. They did a fantastic job making sure everybody was having a good time playing the game. So yeah, it was a great time. Yeah, that's a lot of damage there, stinker. All right, well, keep us posted on what happens with Helene. That is so funny. It is very nice of you to take her in, but that's the kind of people you are. You're very good people. Take care of that pig. It's pig. Yeah, keep us posted on Helene. I'm going to save that photo, okay? So if this saga continues, I'll have a photo for future reference. I'll put it on my desktop. Helene 2024. Oh, you sent another one? There's another one? Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay, we get a side photo, a side pic here. Hold on. So we have a frontal and a side profile photo. Oh. Maybe someone will see this video and they'll say, oh, that's my pig. There it is. There's the other one. There we go. There she blow. Mug shots. That's funny. All right. These are the kind of shenanigans we usually do on Friday nights. Just if you're wondering what the difference is between Nitty-Gritty and Simply Social. This is a little view into what kind of shenanigans we do on Friday nights. All right. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you being here. Again, moderators, thank you for helping monitor the chat. We'll be back again tomorrow from 1 to 3 for the Obsessed Tier channel members. And then Wednesday for the members only Let's Play live stream. And then we'll be back on Friday for Beat the Pro. We don't have anybody registered right now. So if you want to beat the pro, basically you register to play online with me and beat me in a game. And if you do that, you'll be eligible to play in an invitational virtual mini tournament in January. Look for information by clicking a link in the video description below. And then, of course, we'll be back for more shenanigans on Friday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the Simply Social Let's Play live stream. Oh, no. You don't want to get attacked by this pig here, Wes. Keep your distance. And keep us posted. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table. Between now and the next video, may all your picks be keepers.